This conference will now be recorded.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. I hope you're all doing safe and well. All right. So let's get started. Let's get started with our demo today. So everyone, I'm Kiran, and I welcome you to the demo. So about me, I have about 10 years of experience in DevOps and site reliability engineering areas. I'm passionate about technology and teaching. Was there a question? Okay, sorry about that. All right, and I'm a movie buff. Watch a lot of movies and occasionally read books. I think that's the case with all of us. So my areas of interest, particularly in terms of the technology, are Kubernetes. You all might have heard about it, and cloud. I worked with both AWS and Azure, and a bit on DigitalOcean as well. And very much interested in automation and Linux operating system. All right. So that's about me. So before we proceed, some ground rules or ground rules for the demo. You can interrupt me at any time if you have any questions. Let others speak. If you have a question, let others complete their question first, and then you can ask your question. And please mute yourself unless you have a question. Okay, that's it. I mean, yeah, again, feel free to interrupt me whenever you have a question or you need some clarification. Don't hesitate. All right, shall we start now?
Yeah, sure.
All right, thanks. Okay, so a very high level view of what we are going to do in this course. Okay, understands the concepts of public cloud, uh, dive deep into the AWS global infrastructure and the breadth and width of the services, and master key AWS services, gain insights into various services offered by AWS and their use cases. Okay, so we're going to understand what public cloud and all that. And of course, this course is more about AWS, right? So we'll understand how does AWS global infrastructure looks like, and what are the various services, what are the use cases, pricing, and all these things. But we're going AWS has about 200 or even more services, right? So we cannot master all those services. So we are going to work on set of services, okay, which are going to be very important for a DevOps engineer or a cloud ops engineer, or even from a developer's perspective. Okay, and of course we'll talk about other services as well, which we are not going to do the demo or dive deep into, but we are going to understand what are the use cases for various other services and how they could be integrated with your existing services, like, about understanding the billing part or management and all these things. We'll understand the overview of those services. Okay, so that's the very high level view. Now let me give you a brief about what cloud is in the demo. Then of course we'll discuss in detail in our sessions. Okay, so anyone, what comes to your mind when you hear about cloud computing? Not the clouds that we see in the sky, obviously, but what comes to your mind when you hear about the term cloud? Anyone can answer. There are no right and wrong answers. You can tell me whatever you feel is the answer. Hello, can you all still hear me?
From any place to any place.
Okay, yeah,
That's
that's a
the
good.
one we can see. I mean, clouds, so there is no starting point or ending point. We can see clouds. See, I am in one place means another people in another place, they can see the same clouds.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, that's a good way
There is
of
no
putting it. Yes.
base. So there is no base for it. So it
Okay.
not stand in one place.
Okay. Okay. Cool. And any other comments? Any other views?
Yeah, it's a infrastructure available over the internet.
Exactly. Yeah, it's infrastructure available over the internet, right? Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you. I could not follow your names, but yeah, thanks for those responses. So let's go by the Wikipedia definition first, and we'll expand on this one. Okay. So cloud computing is the on-demand availability of computer system resources, especially data storage and computing power, without direct active management by the user. The term is generally described to use data centers available to many users over the internet. So as someone has said, it's like it appears as if uh, there is no start and end, or there is no particular geographical boundary, right? When you talk about cloud, it appears that it's ubiquitous, or it's everywhere in the world. But the matter is, I mean, when you dive deep, or when you kind of look into it might not be what it is. But in a simple terms, it is on demand availability of computing resources. And another important part, without direct active management by the user. What does that mean? Okay, so I always give this example. Go back like 15 years or 10 years. Okay, when you had to book a cab, okay, um, you know you had this Z cabs. I mean, I'm particularly talking from the Indian perspective. Z cabs or dot cabs. You have to call them a day in advance and tell them that tomorrow I have to be dropped in airport by 11 a.m. And they'll look into their Excel sheet or whatever they used to maintain and tell us that no, there are no cabs for tomorrow 11 a.m. Okay, then you have to call some other one, dot cab, Z cab, or sky cabs, and there you have to book well in advance, and you have to you know talk about a fixed price, like, okay, from Rajendra Nagar to airport it costs you so much, from Kukatpalli to airport it costs you so much. So it's a fixed price, predetermined price. Okay, and it was not like on demand. It's almost like on demand, but you have to wait, you have to book one day. But flash forward to 2013 or 2014, when Ola and Uber have become so popular. So now you just don't have to kind of call someone. Okay, you don't have to involve someone from the Uber side or Ola side. You just log into your app, okay, and just scroll through that and look for your destination. I mean, punch in your destination, and you will see how many cabs are there, or one available cab is assigned to you in a matter of seconds. In fact, sometimes it takes minutes, of course. So that's the on-demand availability. Just you think of it and you get it. Okay, and there is no direct active management, meaning you need not call a third person and ask him and all these things. Okay, and underlying it, what is Ola and Uber? Ola and Uber is nothing but a set of cab drivers working for Ola, and they are all linked with us through this app, right, which is available through our mobile apps. Similarly, cloud is nothing but a set of data centers which are spread across the globe. Okay, just like how Ola drivers or Uber drivers are spread across a city, um, um, your data centers are also spread across the globe, and they are available to you through multiple channels. One of those channels is website. Okay, you can go to AWS website, and through a few clicks you can create whatever EC2 whatever server you want to create, or whatever database you want to create, or any other service for that matter. Okay, so this is a meme I downloaded from the internet. What if I told there is no cloud? It's just someone else's computer. Okay, there is nothing like cloud. You're using Amazon's computers instead of your own clouds, instead of your own servers. Okay, or a Microsoft's services in Microsoft's infrastructure if it's Azure. Okay, so there is nothing like a cloud or something. It's just like someone is giving their resources for you to available, just like how Ola and Uber are using the the cabs that are there in the city. So similarly, data Azure or AWS is nothing but a collection of data centers. Okay, what is cloud? Cloud is a collection of a data center, a collection of data centers. What's a data center, by the way? Okay, so forget about forget about cloud, forget about all that. Let's say you are a big IT, big banking company. Okay, um, all your operations are computerized. Okay, so when you computerize, that means any transactions that are running through your internet, and they have to have a central location to store them, and you need to have applications which will handle information from your customers, process that, and give it to you in a refined way. Okay, for these you need compute power, or you need processing power, which will work in the backend. Okay, for these you need a set of data centers, or you need a data center where you put in all your computers together, all your network cables. Okay, so for the computers you need to put the cooling system. Okay, without the cooling system, you know um, because these servers, they run for 24/7 365 days, so they have to be cooled down, otherwise they will malfunction, right? And you need to have power, one or more power connections. Just one power connection would not do. You cannot rely on the public electricity connections like state governments or any other service. You have to have more than one service. You have to have power backup in terms of generators and all these things, right? And um you need to keep them always running. So is the case with your network connections. You might be using some public connections like AT&T in the US, or Verizon, or in India you might be using Airtel or Tata, but just one service is not enough. What if there is a downtime from the ISP side? What if there is a downtime with Airtel internet connectivity? You need to have redundant data connection. Redundant is nothing but secondary data connection. Okay, so a data center is where you put all your IT infrastructure, the physical infrastructure I'm talking about. The physical servers, the physical switches, routers, cables, everything are put in a single place. That's your data center. When it comes to cloud, it is nothing but a collection of data centers. As I said, these are typically spread across the globe. You have some data centers in the US, some data centers in the Europe, some in India, some in Singapore, so on and so forth. All right. So what are important characteristics of cloud computing? How can you categorize some service as a cloud computing service? Okay, these are the 5 characteristics that determine whether a particular service is a cloud service or not. Okay, first one is on-demand self-service. Okay, meaning just like I told you how Ola and Uber works. So you just need to log into a portal or run some commands, and you need to be able to provision your infrastructure in a matter of minutes, sometimes in seconds as well. And broad network access. So these should be available over multiple channels, like web channel, through programmatic access, okay, mobile apps also sometimes. So that's what defines the second characteristics, a broad network access, which will give you ability to communicate through multiple channels. Multi-tenancy and resource pooling. What does that mean? Okay, so we talked about cloud is all about being a collection of data centers, right? So let's say this is your, I mean, I'm giving a logical approach, not the physical approach. Let's say this is your data center, and these are all your racks of servers. Racks of servers means each of the rack has multiple physical servers. Okay, let's say I'm a consumer, and I wanted to try AWS, and let's say I used some VMs, some virtual machines. That means I physically I'm occupying this space, and also let's say this space. I've created, let's say, 10-15 servers, so some physical servers are assigned to me. Ideally it will not be like this. I will be given, like, one server might be here, another server might be in a different location. Okay, so let's take the realistic approach only. Okay, this is, let's say, customer A. Then you have customer B. Okay, let me try to change the color. Okay, let me make it thicker as well. Okay, let's say this is customer B. He is also renting some resources. Okay, so after some time I decided that I don't need more machines. Like right now I need only 2 machines, so I will delete these machines. Okay, deleting the machines meaning not deleting the physical servers, but my virtual machines I stopped and terminated. Now this space has become, now if client B, or in fact some other client, wants to take up that space, he can dynamically take it up without anyone intervening into it. Okay, no one needs to come in and say that, okay, this is free, now I will assign it to someone else. So this is what we call as dynamic reallocation. So as long as one service is being used by you, it is allocated to you. As soon as you think that, okay, these VMs I'll stop, I'll terminate, I don't want to be built for these things, you can stop and delete. For you, from your perspective, you're deleting it, but on the cloud they are there, they can be used by someone else. What about your data? Your data is either wiped off, or you can store it in some other location. Okay, it's not like your data will be seen by some other one also. It's as if he's creating his own server. It's as if it's a brand new server and someone else has not ever used. Okay, because the physical layer is completely hidden from us, only the virtual layer you'll see, and it's as if it's a new VM for you. Okay, so that's what we call it as multi-tenancy and resource pooling. Meaning, tenancy means, right, you have a shopping mall. Shopping mall is owned by one group of companies or one company, but they rent their individual outlets to different users. Shopper Stop, let's take Inorbit, or Capital Mall, or whatever it is. So you have multi-tenancy, you have Shopper Stop, you have um, a lot of other, like M&M or what other stores you might have. So that's what multi-tenancy called as. Okay, your resources are used by multiple tenants, and also there is resource pooling. The same resources can be used by multiple people once you stop using them. Okay, and next thing is rapid elasticity and scalability. This is one thing that makes cloud super cool, and everyone is going towards cool. The factor is rapid elasticity and scalability. Elasticity means the ability to increase from, let's say, one virtual machine to 10 virtual machines, or 1 GB of storage to like 1 terabyte of storage within a matter of, like I said, minutes. Okay, at the most minutes only. Okay, in the matter of minutes, you can provision storage from 1 TB to 1 GB to 1 TB or even more than that. Okay, and scalability also the same thing, right? Elasticity is you can either go upwards or downwards. For example, today you're using 10 virtual machines on a cloud provider for running your web application, your website. Tomorrow you see that not many people are using your website, the demand has come down, so you can stop your 5 instances or 5 virtual machines and delete them. Now you have only 5 virtual machines running and you'll be billed only for those 5 virtual machines. Okay, and also it doesn't take much effort to delete those instances because these can be done only through a few clicks. All right, and also another important thing is there are no upfront cost. So suppose let's take a step back and understand this scenario. Let's say you have a very nice idea about creating some filmy game or filmy quiz, okay, which will quiz users about different kinds of movies and different languages. You can choose language and you can select your particular artist, and based on the artist you will ask a set of questions. You have this nice cool idea, and particularly with lockdown and all these things, you know that this will click. Okay, but where do you run this application? You cannot run it on your laptop and ask your friends to access. Well, initially you can directly give the code to your friends and say, okay, this is my code, run it on your laptops by running these commands and it will open your application. That's fine. But if you want to make it available to the general public, you have to host this code on a server, right? So think about the scenario where there was no cloud, right? Think about a scenario when there was no cloud. So first thing you need to do is you need to buy a physical server. Okay, you need to buy a physical server and put it in your home. Then you start deploying your code onto that, connecting to your monitors and installing the code, and you did all these things. But the next thing is these issues keep coming up. So you say send your link to your friends and family and they start accessing, but suddenly there is a power cut at your home. People cannot access your website. They will complain what use your app is. Then you have to go for redundant power connectivity, meaning you have to set up an inverter or a generator or something like that. Okay, then suddenly your ISP stops working. You have Act or Airtel. Supposing you're in Hyderabad, so Airtel stops working. You have Airtel connectivity and it stops working. Then again, a lot of friends might, if it's friends, okay, they will bear with you. But when you're opening it for general public, they'll lose patience. This website is always going down. So then you have to have secondary, um, you know, network connectivity. You have one from Airtel already. You have to ask Beam or Act or someone to provide you secondary connection, because even if one of them is down, you don't want to lose the other one. Okay, you already have a additional power supply. Okay, then this is one server. It might cost you anywhere around 1,50,000 or 2 lakhs depending upon the specs and the size. Okay, then suppose it has become a big hit. Okay, it has become a big hit. Your friends have shared with their friends have shared with more friends, and every day more and more users are visiting your website. That means you need more servers. So you have to buy another, because this will also have a standard CPU, like let's say 16 GB of RAM and 8 cores of CPU. Okay, or maybe even more, let's say 48 GB of RAM and 16 cores of CPU. Okay, but after that, after some time, it's going to um, need more space, or more people are coming. That means you're running out of your RAM, you're running out of your CPU. CPU is running above 100%. That means your system might crash every now and then. Okay, then you have to buy another physical server with the same capacity or less capacity, also fine, and you have to install all the code and everything here. Okay, now your home is a small place and your parents, your family is getting upset. Come on, you're taking up all the space with your servers, move away from my home. Oh yeah, and by the way, you have to set up cooling for these as well, right? So think about it. All this is called as upfront cost. You're, even before you know your website works or not, you're investing your money. Of course, initially it clicked, so you bought a secondary server. But what if after some time lockdown is eased and no one is ever checking your website? Only for whatever reasons, no one is checking, not even the teenagers. Okay, everyone has gone back to Instagram, right? Now what do? You have to turn these machines, at least to save your power cost, but you have to keep them idle in some place. But think of this as a large organization. where you have to buy hundreds of hundreds of servers, hundreds of network cables, hundreds of routers, okay, hundreds of cooling machines and everything. Okay, so you have, imagine Flipkart. Okay, if Flipkart had to start with their own data center in 2010 or whenever they started, imagine the amount of money they would have spent, right? They would not have it would not have never clicked, because it was started by two folks from IIM or whatever it is. Okay, so they could have never started that without the cloud. So they said, okay, we have this cool niche idea which we copied from Amazon, of course, a retail site. So we're going to use that retail site, you know, but we are not going to use our own servers. We are going to use Amazon servers, Amazon cloud. So that's how they could start it, and they could make it so big. In fact, Netflix, one of the biggest OTT apps, okay, I think the biggest OTT app worldwide, runs on Amazon only, right? So here also they don't have to spend money on their own servers. They can spend money on investing on where they work, on upgrading their code, they on you know, on running their application well, on contacting with you know, the vendors to supply the right goods. Flipkart can concentrate on that more than on the servers. So that's what, you know, yeah, the next feature is like multi-tenancy and rapid elasticity. Means going from size, right? If you want to, let's say you are a your website has increased in size. Now you have made some contracts or made some deals with other websites like for Google ads, and you have linked with schools for education related quizzes and all these things. So now your demand has gone up. So now you have to buy more servers. So when you have to buy physical servers, you have to place order to Dell or XP or HP or anyone like that, and they will take time to send it to you. So your load is increasing, but you don't have enough servers. What happens? Your users will see slowness, just like government websites. They will never respond. Okay, then you will have to wait till the time your new server comes. You have to configure it and make it ready and all that. It will take days. Okay, but in case of cloud, in a matter of minutes, you can, you know, make your number of virtual machines, servers, from 3 to 10 or 300, you know, in a matter of minutes, in fact. So is the case with storage. Okay, in your earlier setup, you have to buy hard disks, okay, to store your data. But here you can just, through few clicks, you can provision your hard drives. And the last one is very important: measured service. Okay, imagine we all did not have this electricity billing, and they will say, an electricity board says every month you will have to pay so much of amount irrespective of what you're paying. Everyone would have gone crazy, right? Because we want to pay only for the amount we are using, not for what my neighbor is using, right? So you'll have to have a measured service, meaning you will have to have a billing process where you will pay only for the uh, amount of usage. Okay, just like your Ola and Uber again. If you're going for 10 kilometers, you will be paying only for those 10 kilometers. If you're going for 10.5 kilometers, you'll pay only for those 10.5 kilometers. It's not like your earlier days where you bargain with the auto rickshaw persons or the taxi persons. It's not fixed. It's as per your use. If you're going for 9.5 kilometers, you'll pay for only for 9.5 kilometers. Similarly with the cloud, if you're using a service for, let's say, 28 hours or 35 hours, you'll pay only for that much amount. Okay, and your bill will also be very much itemized. It will show how much you have spent on which service. Okay, just like your let's say a telephone postpaid bill, where it will tell you you have sent so many messages, so this much bill, you have used so much data, so this much bill. Similarly, it will give you that report. That's what we mean by measured services. So when any service offers these things, that becomes a cloud computer. All right, cloud computing. Any questions? Shall I move on?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, then forget about cloud or forget about on-premise. On-premise or data center mean you're maintaining your own servers. Okay, cloud is someone else is maintaining your servers and you pay for the amount of resources you're using. So irrespective of whether it's cloud or on-premise, your IT infrastructure can be divided into three main aspects. Okay, compute, storage, network. Compute is nothing but your CPUs, your RAM, your processing power. Okay, your physical servers. Your laptop has your RAM and CPU and graphics card. These are part of your compute. The hard drive is part of your storage. The networking is your LAN cable and the NIC card you have on your laptop. Similarly, in your data center also, you have these three elements. You have set of physical servers, you have a big SAN or a NAS, a storage area network or network attached storage, which means a large block of storage which you can use independently. I mean, you can take chunks of them and use it along with your compute machines. And then network. How do you wire all these um, virtual machines? How do you wire them to firewalls? How do you wire them to um, routers and all these things? That forms your networking part. Your load balancers, your firewalls, your switches, routers, all these things are part of your network. Okay, so based on the type of service you are provided, cloud services are generally divided into three types. Okay, first one is IaaS, infrastructure as a service. Second one is platform as a service. Third one is a software as a service. So we need to understand what are these things to get better understanding of cloud. Okay. So as someone earlier said, cloud is nothing but you're using someone else's infrastructure and paying for that, right? That's absolutely right. But sometimes what level of access you have, I mean, what level of control you want, that also decides. Okay. For instance, I am a person, let's say not me, someone X, Mr. X is a full stack developer, meaning he knows things about cloud, he knows things about Java, he knows front end, back end, database, everything he knows. So he's like a champ in terms of software industry. So now this person decides, okay, I know what to do. I know how to install Java. I know how to install Tomcat. I know how to install database. So I want just some VMs. Okay. I want some virtual. I don't want to buy machines. I want some virtual machines, meaning I will access from cloud and I'll start using them. Okay. So he'll go to Amazon, sign up and spin up new virtual machines and start deploying his application and start connecting his load balancers and everything. Or you are an organization, a startup, and you have engineers who have, who are DevOps and also development engineers. They know what they do. They know they have all the right skills. Okay. So you can still, then you can say that, okay, I'll hire some virtual machines and start using them and start deploying my code. Okay. That's fine. Okay. So here in this case, you have to take care of the operating system or any updates you have to do on the virtual machines. It's your responsibility. Okay. You have control over the infra and also the code, what code you want to install, everything is under your control. But what is the downside? The negative side is high management overhead. You will pay, you will have to, have resources who knows both the development side and also the operations side. That's slightly the downside of IaaS. Okay, but on the plus side, you have full control over the infra. When I say infra, not the physical servers, okay, but the virtual machines, and on top of it, whatever you want to install, you can install. Then the next service is platform as a service. All right, let's take another example. Okay, you are a bunch of developers who are really good with, application side, the programming side, Java and all, and you have a great idea and you already tested it in your local machines. The website is shaping up really nice, but you want to make it available for the public. You want to make it go live. Then you don't want to worry about the virtual machines, the operating system configuration, Java installations, all these things. You don't want to be bothered. Simply, you just need a machine or you just need a platform where you can directly run your code and end users can access the application. Okay, that's what you need. In that case, you can use platform as a service. Okay, here all that you need to do is store your code in a central location like GitHub or Bitbucket or whatever source code repository and plug that with your PaaS provider. Okay, then you don't have to worry about managing the operating system, installing Java on top of it, installing the dependencies, the libraries. All these things are taken care by the PaaS provider. Okay, so one of the example from AWS perspective is Elastic Beanstalk. Okay, so Elastic Beanstalk is again You don't have to manage the virtual machines and all those things, or the networking side. You can directly plug in your source code and it will start running your application. And platform.sh is another such provider, not by AWS but an external service. You have app services or Google App Engine from Google. You have Azure App Functions or Azure Web Functions from Azure, Microsoft. Okay, these are all PaaS providers, right? And the final one is software as a service. Okay, so let's take another example. We all have been using SaaS services from a long time. Okay, for example, let's say you are a um, let's say you are a startup company and you are working on some ML based products. Okay, you are creating data modeling and all these things, but you are a startup. That means you need a set of resources, let's say 10 people or 15 people, and all of them uh, are bothered about working on their applications, machine learning and all these things. But at the end of the month you have to pay them salaries, you have to give them form 16s, you have to give them all the details. Sorry. So then you need a payroll website. Okay, so one thing is you can ask some of your developers to work on your payroll website and create a payroll for yourself on cloud, maybe using IaaS or PaaS. But that's not your area of interest. Your developers can do much better. They can do machine learning things. Why do you want them to do simple web development, right? They're experts in data modeling, artificial intelligence, and all these things, and you are making them create a simple website. That means you're wasting your money. So instead, you can go to some third-party provider like Zoho, which is a payroll provider, or Hevit, or any other these things, or one desk or Workdesk, or a lot of other providers are there, who will say that okay, you don't have to worry about creating anything. You don't have to write your application. We'll give you our admin access. I mean, we'll set up an account for you on our account like Zoho, and you can directly access those. I mean, you will have to assign an admin for that thing. That admin can give access to your employees. They can download their pay slips from Zoho. They can also download their form 16s. We will create the form 16s. We will create the pay slips. Everything we will take care. All that you need to do is just log into the website. When I say you, the company, okay, or the company HR head or whoever it is, you just have to log into the website, give access to your employees, and configure your access control within your HR team. Whom do you want to give access? All these things you can configure. So here you don't have to worry about writing code. You don't have to worry about infrastructure, what server it is running, what version of Java it is running. You don't have to worry about any of these things. You just need to focus on your business activity. The flip side is you don't have any control on what features they are giving you, or you cannot make your custom improvements. Okay, but again, in many cases this is a win-win solution, right? You take the example of payroll for a ML based startup. You can give it away to Zoho and relax. Now Zoho will create your payrolls as per your HR inputs, whatever your HR gives the inputs. Based on that, Zoho will calculate the tax deductions, Zoho will calculate incentives, and send the physical virtual copies to your employees through emails. Everything is managed by Zoho. Such a nice thing. Not only for the startups. Think about a large corporation like a banking company. Let's say Citibank. Okay, Citibank main focus is retail banking, credit cards, or corporate loans, all these things. But to train their employees on certain things like banking guidelines, or even things like sexual harassment awareness, or sexual harassment prevention awareness, I mean, or things like diversity, inclusion, or even some technology training also, you need to create a training website. Okay, so why do you have to kind of create your own website? Because your specialty is banking, you should focus on banking. So in that case, what you can do is you can enter an agreement with Udemy, or you can enter an agreement with LinkedIn training, and say that hey, I need a training website for my folks, so I want to use your service. Then LinkedIn says, all right, very good, I will set up an account for you, admin account. You can log into there and give access to whoever you want to give, and they will be able to access LinkedIn. And also, what we also have an option to load your courses onto our, for example, you might have a video library prepared by your own employees on various banking practices or internal practices. So you can also upload those videos, and only your customers can see them. Okay, only your end users can see them. That's a nice deal, right? So you don't have to create a learning team, and or a development team and asking them to create a learning portal. You can use Udemy or LinkedIn Learning or Pluralsight or any of these services, and you can create your you can have your peace of mind. Okay, so that's the SaaS offering. How are we using SaaS? Take Gmail for example. Have you written any code to create a Gmail application? No, right? Have you ever hosted your Gmail on your own servers? No, right? Both the code and infrastructure is with Google. You as an end user just log in and start using it. So is the case with your Google Drive. Okay, these are all SaaS offerings, software as a service. You don't have to install any software. You don't have to run any servers. As an end user, you will get a web service and you can start using it. Okay, that's what software as a service is. Examples are Gmail, GitHub, okay, Zoho. All these are software as a service. In fact, Gmail can be used for companies as well. You don't want to maintain your own Active Directory, you don't want to maintain your user control, you can give it to Gmail. You can subscribe to Gmail or Google Mail services, and you will get your own email, like at mycompany.com. Let's say your website is your company name is my company, so mycompany.com. So Kiran at mycompany.com. Okay, Karthik at mycompany.com. You can create those emails, and Google will host all those information for you. Okay. So these are the three types of services, and as you go from left to right, the amount of time you spend on these services decrease, but the amount also the amount of time decreases, right? Amount of management. You don't have to, for example, in IAS, you have to do everything from OS upgrades to software upgrades to installing software and installing code on top of it. Everything is in your control, but also it means management cost. You have to have more people doing this. In past, you are focused only on writing the code, developing the application. Okay, you don't have to worry about the underlying infrastructure. Okay, but if there is some complex requirement that certain components require to run on so and so thing, then you will not have so much of control over here. Okay, whereas in case of SaaS, there is no control over the code or the infrastructure, but it's sometimes it's a great offering when you don't want to when you can make do with the existing service, like the examples I gave in Zoho Payroll, or LinkedIn Learning. All these things are a great example for that. Or Yammer, for instance, some of the companies might be using Yammer, right, which is a internal social media site. That's also a SaaS offering. Or Saba Learning. Saba has a SaaS offering. Yeah, from the IAS example, we have EC2, VPC, EBS. Okay, see, these are some of the commonly used examples from the AWS perspective. You also have other things like Azure Virtual Machines, okay, Google Virtual Machines, a lot of other stuff. All right, so yeah, let's go there. And remember, this requires the most skill because you have to do a lot of stuff here. So we are going to focus mostly on IaaS services from AWS side. All right, now let's jump on to AWS. What is AWS? You might have been hearing this term from quite some time, and it's really the buzz in the market. So Amazon Web Services, AWS stands for Amazon Web Services, obviously, is the leader in the public cloud computing domain. Okay, this is unanimously the biggest cloud provider in the world. There's no doubt about it. Okay, sorry, just give me a second. I'm checking my battery percentage. Okay, so it's the biggest cloud provider today in the world. Okay, sorry, what's happening? It's like my paper is leaked. Okay, all right, come on. Amazon was launched in March 2006 with a service called as Simple Storage Service. That was the first service to be launched. Okay, a simple storage service is like your Google Drive, where you can upload your documents. Then in the same year, sorry folks, my system is, I'm moving here and there, so I'm touching arrow keys. Okay, yeah. AWS was launched in March 2006 with simple storage service, with one service. Then in the same year, they launched Elastic Cloud Compute, or EC2, which is nothing but a virtual machine. Okay. Can you all hear me? Just a mic check.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah,
Yes,
and feel free to stop me if you have any questions. No worries. Okay. So AWS was launched in March 2006, and again the same year they launched EC2. Uh, so AWS as of today, how it's looking. Okay. AWS comprises over 200 products and services, including computing, meaning virtual machines and virtual networks, storage, your block storage or S3 storage, lot of storages, networking, uh, load balancers, DNS, everything is can be managed from AWS. Databases, analytics, deployment, management, mobile developer tools, and tools for the IoT. IoT stands for Internet of the Things, right? You have a tool for every of these services and even more. AWS had $17.46 billion in annual revenue in 2017. By the end of 2020, the number had grown to 46 billion. The reason I gave this is to just to help you understand the acceleration or the growth in cloud market even today. Okay, particularly AWS side. AWS has 30% of public cloud market share, meaning of the total people using AWS, more than 30% people are using, or 30% of the share is going to AWS. While Microsoft and Google have 18 and 9% respectively. Microsoft has 18% of the share, Google has the remaining 9%. You might be asking where is the other percentage going? It's going to small providers like DigitalOcean, Alibaba Cloud, IBM Cloud. IBM is a big company, but their cloud is not a big offering. Or Oracle Cloud, or Heroku. There are a lot of other cloud services as well. So talking about some of their notable customers, NASA and Netflix. Okay, both of them are customers of AWS. Okay, Netflix hosts their entire infrastructure on AWS. NASA some components on AWS. Okay, I told you earlier, Flipkart is also a big customer. I mean, Flipkart is totally on AWS as well. All right, shall we move on? Okay, so simply the some from the last October report from the Canalys, this is the share of market that each cloud provider is has. Okay, as I said, undoubtedly AWS is the leader. So some of the reasons are they have started much earlier and they have created a lot of services. So it was 33%, slightly dipped to 31%, and Microsoft seemed to gain there. And now it's like they're 32% and Microsoft it is 19%. The others are steadily declining. What does that indicate? Most of the competition is going to AWS and Azure, and a bit to Alibaba, and some to Google Cloud. Okay, so Alibaba is also trying to catch up. They have recently started aggressive campaigns about increasing their, but this is the total cloud market share in 2020 October, right? Just to give you the idea. Okay, now talking about AWS infrastructure. Remember when I said cloud is nothing but a set of data centers. What I mean is they have their servers located in various locations in the globe, and this is the idea of the amount of data centers they have globally. Okay, they have about 25 regions, and some of these orange ones are coming up. This is again 2 months old. I'm sure some of them might have come up already. Okay, so they have huge presence in the US, some presence in Southern America, and again predictably a lot in Europe, and some in, see, this one is in coming in Telangana. You might have heard about this news. So one of the biggest data centers is coming in Telangana, close to Hyderabad. This one is Mumbai actually. This data center is Mumbai, and you have in Australia Southeast. Sorry, Australia East, I guess this is, yeah. You are also getting a new data center in Australia North or South, sorry, and you have it in China, some presence. Okay, these are the data centers. Of course, each data center, each region, these are regions actually. So US East 1 is a region, US East 2 is a region. Within this region, you have multiple data centers in close proximity. Like if they are coming up with a data center in Hyderabad, for instance, that doesn't mean I mean, a region in Hyderabad, that doesn't mean they create only one data center. They create multiple data centers, and they create within some physical distance. For example, if you have a data center 1 in Uppal, they're going to create data center 2 in Patancheru. So even if there is any calamity in Patancheru, your Uppal data center is not affected. Okay, I'm not sure if all of you know about Hyderabad topology, but these are far off places. And maybe another location might come somewhere in Medchel, okay, or something might come up in other side of Shamshabad, so that they have physical isolation, but they are connected through AWS networking only. Okay, so one region means multiple data centers, or what AWS calls as availability zones. Okay, so they create these data centers across multiple locations, so that even if one part of the city is disturbed, you have other services running. Okay, other data centers running. Okay, next one. Okay, as I said, there are about 20 availability zones. 20 availability zone is nothing but a collection of data centers in one place, like in Uppal. Let's say you have a collection of data centers which is called as availability zone in Uppal, and you have another one in Medchel, another one in Patancheru. That becomes a region. So such regions there are 25. Okay, and 15 more availability zones announced within the existing geographic regions. They are going to add more availability zones, more compute power, more storage power. Okay, that's the AWS capacity. All right, now coming to the core of our course, our demo, we want to understand what's covered in this course, right? So this is where we come to that part, and I'll tell you about the top level topics we are going to discuss. Of course, we are going to go deep into some of these things. Some of these things we are going to only have overview kind of sessions. So first, even before you understand the cloud, or even before you go to AWS, you need to understand the IT architecture. What does when a company creates a website, how does their architecture looks like? And you need to understand the networking components. Okay, what is an IP address? What is a virtual network? What is a subnet? Okay, all these things we'll talk about. And just like I gave you an overview on virtualization, we'll just talk about virtualization, the theoretical aspect. Okay. Then coming to the account administration. When I say account administration, the AWS account administration. So we'll talk about what's an AWS account, what are services, what are various services available within AWS. Then what is AWS organizations, okay, and how does billing work. So all these things we talk in account administration. The next part we talk about is identity and access management, meaning how do you manage your access control? Let's say you have created an account for your company. Let's say your company name is Kiran Ops, okay, or so in the Kiran Ops I have like 10-15 users. So I have to give access to these people to access my AWS account. They might all have their own email accounts, right? Someone has, like, Varun at kiranops.com, Charan at kiranops.com. We have a lot of people, including me. So I need to give them. So Varun is a data engineer. Charan is, let's say, um, you know, um, DevOps engineer. Okay, we have Pallavi, who is specialized in development. So all these people cannot have the same access. They need to have different kinds of access levels. Okay, so that's what is called as identity and access management. How do you give access to different people? All these things we'll see in identity and access management. Then the next part is storage. So we talked about simple storage service already, which is like Google Drive. You have Elastic file system. Okay, we discuss how these systems can be configured and how these can be integrated with other systems. Okay, that's what we cover in storage. Then in the network part, we talk about virtual private cloud, VPC, which is nothing but a virtual network. And how do we create subnets? What are gateways, security groups, ACLs, DNS? Don't worry if you don't understand any of these things. We are going to cover in our course. Okay, but I'm just giving you an idea that you know what's coming up in the actual course, right? So from the compute perspective, we understand EC2, which are nothing but virtual machines provided by AWS. Then we are talking about elastic block storage, that nothing but virtual hard drives. AMI, which is Amazon Machine Images. We'll talk about load balancers. We'll talk about auto scaling. Okay. Then in the databases, we'll talk about RDS and various features it has. In the application services, we'll talk about SNS, which is a simple notification service. We'll talk about Lambda. Okay. Then we talk about automation. How do you you can create all these things through website, through Amazon AWS website. But over a period of time, when you're running infrastructure for a large organization, when you are a cloud ops or a DevOps engineer for a large organization, simply doing everything through everything through website doesn't work. You need to have some automation. So we'll cover some automation in terms of cloud formation. How do you use cloud formation to create resources without actually doing manually? Okay, how can you use the same cloud formation template for multiple projects? We'll talk about CLI, how you can access everything through command line. Okay, and then we'll talk about of course we'll talk about other services. Like I told you, right, there are management services which I did not include here, but we will cover them. What are various management services available? What are the development services like CI/CD tools that are available in AWS? We are going to talk theoretical aspects of them. And finally, we are going to talk about cloud best practices, how best you can define your um, how well you can architect your applications on cloud. Okay, how can you make sure they are highly available in the sense there is very less downtime. Okay, and also at the same time, how do you save your cost optimization? Okay, and another important aspect is we are going to learn virtual machines. So we are going to install some applications to understand how these load balancing works, for instance, or how auto scaling works. So in this matter, we have to learn a bit of Linux. Okay, so I'll cover a bit of Linux here and there, like how do you install packages, not in depth, but just so much you understand that. Okay, so how do you use how do you authenticate to your virtual machines, for instance? How do you connect to your virtual machines from your laptop? Okay, all these things we are going to cover. So we are going to cover some Linux concepts, some SSH concepts, okay, which I did not include here. And also, since these are interlinked with one another, we might not go everything uh, in a order. Like we will not go in the same order. Of course, initially we will cover the basics because this is a must. In the first two days, we're going to cover these things. Then this is also covered at once, but billing we'll cover again at the last because you will have more idea about billing once you learn about other services. Similarly, when you're learning about identity and access management, we'll talk about some topics initially, but for things like roles, we are going to put it to the later time when you learn about S3 and EC2 and all these things. Okay, so is the case with Elastic File System. We'll wait for you to learn about AC2 and all these things, then we'll learn those things. Okay, so we'll not go in order, but I'll go in a logical flow, which will help you understand these things one after the other. And also somewhere in between only, I'll introduce CLI after you learn EC2 and all these things, because I want you to automate some things. All right. So that's the main course curriculum. As I said, some things are not involved, like learning about Linux, which will not happen in one session, but we'll talk about it in bits and pieces. And also, I did not include the other services which we are going to discuss the theoretical part only, but we are going to talk about those services as well. All right. Any questions before I proceed to the next slide? All right. Let's move on. So what should you have to join this course? So this I created this slide out of all the questions I get it in generally in demos. So do I need this? Do I need this? So yeah, very simple. You need a computer, of course, bare minimum. You should have system administrator rights because you need to install a couple of applications like Git Bash or Putty and AWS CLI. Even if you don't have, you have some of these applications also, we can manage. Okay, even if you don't have that also, we can manage if it's a work laptop or something, but preferably with system administrator rights. Okay, I hope every one of you have some kind of a personal computer, even if it's an older one, that's fine. And subscriptions, coming to subscriptions, you need to have AWS free tier subscription. You just need to sign up once. You would need a debit card or credit card. You will not be charged anything, and this will be free for 1 year, provided you're not creating resources and not deleting them. You have to be very careful. You have to create some resources and delete them. Of course, at the end of the month, You might get even if you have free tier, which means you will get services for free, but there are some services which we will create, you will also create along with me to understand how they work. um, so in that case, you might incur some bill. For example, things like NAT gateway or load balancers, they are not free. You might get some bill in the magnitude of few dollars, like $10 or $15 per month at the maximum. I'm talking about. Sometimes you might not go even beyond $5. You have to just pay those $5 at the end of the month. That's it. Okay, but most likely you will not even go to that $5 maximum. Okay, for some services, it's okay. You can spend it on your career, right? So doing is believing. Unless you do it, you don't know how it works. So you have to do it. Okay. And what are the other services where you need subscriptions or where you need an account? GitHub, preferably, and Freenom, which is a free DNS. You can create your own free website name, domain name. Okay. Optional, but good to know to understand Route 53, which is a DNS service. Yeah, I did not include Route 53 here. I don't know why, but we are going to cover that service as well. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to ask, you know, I'll share you a detailed curriculum. Don't worry about that. And software perspective, from the physical hardware, I told you you just need a computer. I don't like people joining with their mobile phones or iPads because I might want you to do something really quick on the AWS side. If you're joining from iPad or your tablet, that doesn't really work well. Okay, so preferably join every class through computer unless you cannot join for a day due to whatever reasons. In that case, you can join through phone and next you can practice it on your computer. Okay, software, what you need software, you need to have a software called as Git Bash, which is a free tool. You just need to download, and Putty or Putty, it's also you need just one of them. Git Bash is fine. AWS CLI, which is the way to manage your AWS through command line. That's also a simple utility you need to download and install. And you need to have a code editor because we learn tools like a little bit of AWS CLI scripting, and we learn CloudFormation. So to write CloudFormation templates, you need this tool called as Visual Studio Code. It's also a free tool. Nothing has to be spent on that. Okay. Personally, what are your personal requirements? So I'll ask, only these things. Okay. Appetite for learning. You need to have the thirst for learning and quality time for participation. Of course, you have to spend every day. You will have recordings available, but if you participate in the class, it will be much better for you and for me. And active participation. Spending time for participation and practice is one thing, but actively participating in the class, meaning actively listening, actively asking me questions, and practicing after the class, and coming next day with any comments or questions, that would be great for you and others as well. Okay. And skills. Honestly saying, you need not have any skills at all, but people frequently ask me this question, so I put it. So it would be great if you already know Linux or some sort of programming. Okay, but lack of the above is not also a hindrance. Even if you don't know them, that's also fine. It's like bonus if you have them. Okay, that's the requirement. Okay, nothing else. You don't have to spend anything except a few dollars on your billing. That too very unlikely. But yeah, you and yeah, everything else is free. Okay. Okay, so to bring our demo to a close, um, what is this course aimed at? It's aimed for both freshers in the sense not only to the job market, but you could be a fresher to IT industry as well. Meaning you already been working in some kind of knowledge economy, but you want to come back to IT industry, come to IT industry, and also those who are already working in IT industry, but in a different role like production support or quality assurance, or even a developer who wants to learn about AWS. Okay, and it covers a gamut of AWS services and products. The course aims to equip you with the right amount of theoretical and practical knowledge. Okay, we have mostly hands-on sessions only, 70% hands-on, 30% demo. That's how I would like to do it. Not much of PowerPoint, more of doing it on the AWS side. Okay, while this course offers a lot to learn and upskill, of course, it's all about your enthusiasm to learn and practice that takes your career to the next level. It's like a disclaimer. I'm saying that I'll give you all in front of you, but if you don't utilize that, you cannot blame me. All right. So learn, implement, and excel. That's the cycle. Okay. So now over to you for any questions you might have.
Yeah,
Uh,
Kiran.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
who
can.
wants to go first?
That's okay. You can go ahead.
Okay, job opportunities for freshers.
Uh, so that's a tricky part. Okay, so as far as I see, in the DevOps world or CloudOps world, you see at least 2 years of requirement. Okay, but that doesn't mean there are no companies that are not hiring freshers. Okay, but this is going to be one of the skill sets along with your larger skill set. I'm not sure if you are a BTech or what was your background, but if you have some sort of uh, programming along with cloud, that would go a long way. Okay, or you already know some DevOps tools like Terraform, Ansible, or Docker along with AWS, that will make a great starting point. But either way, whatever job role you're applying, be it a DevOps or cloud ops, having cloud knowledge, or you could demonstrate it concretely in the interview, that you have worked on, or you have practiced cloud well. That's going to add a that's going to be a big plus for you in the interview side, or also in the stage of resume filtering, right? A lot of the filtering these days happen at the resume level, right? So that also will these words will definitely, I mean, HR doesn't know what AWS, but the recruitment or the technical team asks, we need people with AWS skill set, so they look for these keywords. So definitely these are going to add a going to be a big plus, so freshers also will gain from this. Yeah, I think Likita has a question.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I missed it in between or
No
so.
worries.
Can I know the duration of the course?
Oh yes, we did not talk about that. So
Okay.
it might take about 6 weeks, okay, to
Okay.
complete this course. And
Okay.
honestly, telling, um, I might take. I mean, the conditions are bad this time, so I might take some breaks here and there. So it might extend to the 7th week as well, but 6 weeks, yes.
Okay. And also, is there Terraform or Ansible training after this, or is it just
No,
AWS?
this course is exclusively for AWS. I
Okay.
think we have another course with AWS with DevOps, where you will
Okay.
also be taught other services. Okay, I'm not
Okay.
taking up, but I'm sure someone must have been taking from career IT. You can ask Lakshmi and get more information about that if you're
Okay.
interested in. That's going to
Yeah.
be a little longer duration, maybe 8 weeks or 9 weeks. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we are
Thank
going
you.
to cover only, yeah, no worries, we are going to cover only cloud, AWS. So from AWS we are going to cover cloud formation services. Next question.
When is the class gonna start? Like from the coming Monday?
Yes, that's the
Oh.
plan. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
from Monday,
Thank you.
6 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Yeah. Okay.
IST. Sorry for the folks in the other time zones.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I think Nani had a question. Yes, Nani.
Are you gonna teach about API gateway and Kubernetes services from AWS?
See, to under yeah, API gateway I'm going to touch. I'm going to talk about what it does. Okay, how you maybe I'll show you a sample project as well, a sample task as well. But Kubernetes, coming to Kubernetes is what? It's a container orchestration tool, right? So I can show you how EKS works. Okay, but you need to understand first how containers works. How do you create Docker image? Okay, how do you save it in ECR or Docker Hub? ECR is again another service in AWS. But for that, I need at least 1 week to teach you only containers and some Linux and how images work, how Kubernetes, what Kubernetes architecture is, and all these things. So it would not make much sense without teaching you containers and Docker and all the in-depth details. So that's why I'm not doing any demo on that, but we are discussing the theoretical part of it, what EKS does and what are the use cases. So yes and no for that.
Thank you.
Yep. You can ask me any questions about career or cloud or IT world, anything is good.
Would it be a project-based approach or just like
It would be more of
running a
it would be
sample
more of a
application?
sorry, it would be more of a, task based approach, right? Because we have to learn everything in terms of every bit and chunk, understand its theoretical part. Okay, at the end of the course, towards the end of the course, we can see the larger picture. Okay, I can give you a mini project which includes all of these, some of these tools we learned, and you can implement them.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead, Lakshmi garu.
Kiran garu, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, go on, please.
Yeah,
Hello.
hello everyone. This is Lakshmi from Career Ready. Small info. The regular sessions will be starting from Monday IST, that is day after tomorrow. It falls on 24th May. Session timings will be 6 to 7 a.m. IST morning. So I will be sharing all the details in.
Okay, I think most of you got it. So, so the session starts, like I said, on from 24th Monday, 6 a.m. IST. That might be 23rd for folks in the US. 23rd, 8:30 p.m. I guess in EST time. Okay. Hello. Am I still audible?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you teach any real-time project, Kiran?
See, you cannot have a. I mean, I don't know what other institutions say about this, but you cannot really have a real-time project in the sense that the entire complex architecture. But yeah, definitely we will see bits and pieces of how a project work is achieved. Okay. So I'll give you, as I said, a mini project which is generally what is done in the organizations. Okay. And also every time we discuss a topic, I discuss, like, how are the use cases in real world, how are they applied in day-to-day life of cloud ops or a DevOps engineer, and what kind of interview questions might be coming from this. And also I'll talk a bit about certified solutions architect associate exam, and what type of questions you might anticipate from a particular service. Yeah, but not exactly a real-time project, I'd be honest with you.
Okay.
So I can talk about some projects I worked on and what are the services I used in my current experience. Okay. And yeah, because we cannot recreate all that, we cannot have that entire code base and different tiers. We can take some sample applications and run them, but you cannot create the entire code base and run that, right? I mean, not only the code base, but yeah. But generally, I'll give you the architectural idea from the a cloud perspective, from the infrastructure perspective. How do you have to design your applications? All these things. All right. If you do not have any questions, we can call it a day. Thanks everyone for joining, and stay home, stay safe. I need not say, particularly in India, how grave the situation is. So hopefully you're all adhering to those norms and guidelines.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you.